Kids who discovered things by accident. A 12-year-old boy went to his grandma's house to help her. The grandma had a special hammer she used for cooking, to scratch her back, and even as a fly swatter. Her grandson thought it was really cool and asked to see it. When he looked closely, the boy realized his grandma had been using a German grenade as a hammer. He immediately called emergency services. They sent a whole bomb squad and confirmed it was a World War II German grenade, but luckily it had been inactive for years. Kids who trolled the system. A little boy and his dog damaged his father's car, and as a punishment, the father gave the dog to the neighbor. But the dog was very smart and would always come back home at night. The father tried to get rid of the dog 2 more times, but the puppy came back once again. Then the boy came up with an incredible idea. He made several fake accounts and offered his dog for just $15. So he sold his dog more than 17 times, and the dog always came back the next morning. In less than a month, he fixed his father's car, and he only stopped when one of the customers realized it was a scam. If you had only 1 day left to live, you would panic and keep watching the clock. You would call your girlfriend to break up with her and spit in your boss's face. You would rent the most expensive luxury car and run every red light. And if you were really crazy, you would jump from a plane or swim with sharks. Then you would record a video telling all the secrets of the people you know, so you don't die keeping any secrets. Next, you would go to the restaurant with the best food in the world. Finally, you would go to the most beautiful place to lie down and remember your whole life. While remembering the happiest moments of your life, you would cry like a baby until you finally close your eyes, but you would wake up as a baby again in Latin America. This boy saved his family thanks to Mario Kart. In 2013, 10-year-old Griffin Sanders and his younger brother were in their grandma's car when she had a heart attack at the wheel, going over 70 miles per hour. When the car started to drift, Griffin grabbed the wheel and started steering away from traffic. He couldn't brake because his grandma's foot was still on the gas. Then he had a great idea, to drive into a muddy ditch so the car could stop safely, just like in the game. In the end, Griffin saved everyone in the car. His grandma recovered and said he could save them because he had played 1,000 hours of Mario Kart.
How long would you survive swimming in these things? If you were swimming in mud, you'd survive for at most 2 weeks because it's full of bacteria and parasites that would infect your skin. If you swam in honey, you'd last about a week and a half. Your skin would get super soft, but insects would start eating you, and you wouldn't be able to move to defend yourself. Swimming in milk, you'd survive around 3 weeks. The milk would go bad, and swallowing it would kill you. Swimming in human urine, your body would last 16 hours because the ammonia and urea in it would dehydrate you and poison you. But if you swam in Coca-Cola, you'd survive only 10 hours. That liquid is a corrosive that would dissolve your body. Finally, lava. You'd live only 3 seconds before melting.
In 1960, a prisoner escaped from his cell using only a mattress. Every day, he took out a little bit of foam from his own mattress, and when no one was looking, he made small cuts and stains to slowly destroy the mattress little by little. 4 months later, the prisoner was able to take out enough foam so he could squeeze in. Then one of his friends carried the mattress and loaded it onto a trash truck. He stayed hidden, bearing the weight of the other mattresses. At the dump, he broke the mattress to get out, but a few weeks later, he was caught again and locked up for life without a mattress. Foods invented by accident. First, popcorn. In the year 1300, some tribes in America used to toast corn kernels, but they ran out of the kind of corn they always used, so they used a harder and wetter kernel. Suddenly, the kernels exploded, turning into the movie theater favorite snack. Now, Coca-Cola. A former soldier made a medicine syrup that helped with pain and tiredness, but while he was filling his bottles, he ran out of normal water and added fizzy water to the mix. After selling them, people came back for more of the sparkling drink, and the man took the chance to become a millionaire and created Coca-Cola.
A boy inserted a piece of Lego in his nose, but it got stuck, and to remove it, he inserted another piece. Since Lego bricks can connect to each other, he thought it was a very intelligent way to remove it, but the 2 pieces got stuck together. His mother managed to remove the big brick without realizing that the smaller brick was still hidden. During over 26 years, he suffered from breathing problems, asthma, and heart attacks in his sleep without knowing why. But one day, while blowing his nose in the shower, the Lego piece fell out 26 years later.
The parents of your rich friend invite you to sleep at their house. Do this so you don't look ridiculous. Bow down to say hello. Leave your shoes outside before you go in. And don't take photos or ask the price of expensive-looking objects. If you break something by mistake, don't hide it. It is very likely that they have security cameras all over the house. On the other hand, if you need anything, ask the butler for it and never the parents, because it's considered disrespectful. However, you're confused because in the bathroom, you find too many towels. Remember, the bigger, the better. Use the smallest towel to wash your hands, the medium one to dry your face, and the large one for your whole body. Finally, never open the windows after 12 a.m. It is very likely that you will activate an alarm system that is going to wake everyone up.
You get to your first date with the girl you like. Do this so you don't look ridiculous. Turn off your phone, don't put your elbows on the table, and give her a sweet compliment looking into her eyes to break the ice. But you're confused because you don't know what to talk about. Remember, the important one is her, not you. Ask her about her hobbies, try to make her laugh, but above all, never talk about your ex-girlfriend, or she might serve you a nice knuckle sandwich. On the other hand, avoid eating messy or complicated dishes, and chew with your mouth closed without making noise. If you're having soup, remember, the spoon goes to the mouth, not the mouth to the spoon. Finally, when the waiter brings the bill, take out your wallet, pay for her meal, and subscribe to Big Dan Baby. How to always win at chess. Never choose to play with the black pieces. White always has a 10% advantage just by making the first move. If your opponent is about to checkmate you, tell them something interesting. When it's their turn, they'll be distracted by the conversation, and you can draw the game by stalemating your king. On the other hand, start the game by moving your pawn to e4. You'll kill two birds with one stone by opening your queen and bishop, while also controlling the center with your pawn. Finally, never move your queen close to the king without checking all your opponent's pieces. If you get checked and your queen is in the middle, it'll be checkmate for the queen. If you step on a pressure release mine, theoretically, it would trigger a spring mechanism inside that pulls back the bomb's firing pin. Now, if you stay completely still and don't lift off your foot, supposedly the firing pin won't move. But if you move your foot a little, the bomb's firing pin hits a detonator, causing an explosion. This idea was made famous by war movies and wartime propaganda. But in reality, these mines don't actually operate like this, and most of them detonate as soon as any pressure is applied. A man slid down the inside of a pipe after climbing to the top of a water slide in the dark, but it was too narrow for his body to move, and he got trapped inside. He screamed for help until he was finally heard by a man. The rescue team worked for hours to take apart the water slide and be able to save his life, but the man had suffocated a few hours earlier and died. If you have a motorcycle accident, do not take off your helmet by yourself. If your neck is broken, you could accidentally rip off your head. If you're walking through the jungle and see an animal with fluorescent colors, run as fast as you can. Colorful animals usually have venom that can kill you in seconds. If you want to know if a battery is charged, drop it onto a metal table. If it bounces several times, it's out of power. If you're in a public bathroom and you touch the mirror, but there's no space between your finger and the reflection, leave immediately. It's a fake mirror and someone is recording you. In 2013, a boy injured his knee and a snail got inside the wound. But the snail egg began to hatch inside the injury, and a few days later his knee began to swell. The doctors thought that it was just a minor infection, but the antibiotics weren't healing the wound. A few days later, his mother noticed a strange black lump and decided to pop it. But to her surprise, a tiny snail calmly crawled out of his knee. If you're stupid and you keep all your batteries in the same drawer, separate them right now. If one battery breaks, it will create a bomb and your house will explode. If there's a blackout in your city and the power goes out, don't leave your house. Thieves will take advantage of the chaos to rob and kill. If you're in a pool and the water tastes like metal, get out of there fast. A wire has short-circuited and you could die from electrocution. If you run out of gas in the middle of nowhere and have no cell service, build a fire using the tires. The smoke will be visible from miles away and firefighters will come. How to play Super Tic-Tac-Toe. The game starts with 9 different boards and 81 available spaces. Player X picks the center board and plays in the top right corner. Now, player O is forced to respond in the board that matches the square of the previous move. Since X played in the top right square, O must play in the top right board. The game continues until a player completes 3 in a row and claims the board square. If a player is forced to play in a board that's already finished, their opponent gets to choose which board they must play in. Finally, Super Tic-Tac-Toe ends when one player wins 3 boards in a row.
How to avoid being asked while in class if you don't know the answer. What you're not going to do is to avoid direct eye contact with the teacher. If you look out the window, he will think you are distracted and will ask you. Act like if you are busy writing on a piece of paper or reading your own notes. So the teacher will think that you are involved with the subject, but you are not available to answer at the moment.
If we get invaded by aliens, don't try to befriend an alien. To the Martian visitors, you're nothing but a stupid animal and they'll experiment on you. If you're an idiot and you're vegan, don't go to a barbecue with your friends. You won't be able to eat and you'll look ridiculous. If you're at school and see some bullies picking on a kid, don't help him because you'll get beaten up. Instead, record a video for YouTube and the police will send them to jail. If you pick a fruit in the jungle, don't eat it. Jungle fruits are often very poisonous and you could die instantly.
He stepped out onto the wire between the Twin Towers in 1974, since the high wire artist had secretly rigged a cable between the towers over 500 meters above the ground. For 45 minutes, he danced, knelt, and even laid down on the suspended wire, all while the wind swayed the cable beneath him. A crowd of people gathered below, stunned. Eventually, police arrived and demanded he come down, but he wasn't in a rush to descend, and after 8 more dances, he finally laughed and came down.
Security cameras recorded a woman pressing all the elevator buttons while nervously glancing down the hallway. Minutes later, she vanished completely without a trace. During the next weeks, hotel guests began complaining that the water wasn't working, and when maintenance checked the water tank on the rooftop, they found the woman's body floating inside. There were no signs of trauma or violence on her body, and the police closed the case, saying she had accidentally drowned. But the water tanks were padlocked and the rooftop doors were completely locked. It was impossible for the woman to have entered alone. So why did she act so strange in the elevator? And how did she get to the rooftop to drown in the water tank? A girl took medicine to cure her cold, but a few hours later she was dead. Over the next few days, 6 more people died the same way. The deaths terrified everyone and forced the medicine to be pulled from all stores. Millions of bottles of the medicine were destroyed, and the police began a detective investigation. They discovered that a killer had opened the bottles and put poison inside. The tragedy led to all medicines in the world being sealed with tamper-proof caps, but the killer was never caught.
A woman climbed a giant tree to protect it from a group of loggers who were planning to cut it down. At first, most people thought she would come down after a few days, but days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, and she still refused to leave. She lived on 2 small platforms and used ropes to receive food. Despite harsh weather, rainfall, and even threats from the loggers, the woman kept living in the tree. Finally, after 738 long days, the loggers agreed to protect the tree and the entire forest, and the woman came down at last.
Guess which student gets better grades? This is big. When he gets to class, he takes out his notebook and starts taking notes. While the teacher explains the lesson, Big copies everything word for word. On the other hand, Dan doesn't take notes right away, as he waits until the teacher finishes explaining each topic. Then, he writes the notes in his own words. Several studies show that Dan gets better grades, and he understands the topic better.
If you're afraid of speaking in public in front of a big crowd, imagine everyone naked and wearing Mickey Mouse ears. That way, the audience will look ridiculous, and you won't feel embarrassed to speak. If you go on a trip to the desert, bring an inflatable cactus and place it in the middle of the desert. When a traveler is dying of thirst, he'll try to drink from the cactus and it'll explode in his face. If you go with your friends to a haunted house, hide a speaker somewhere in the house beforehand, and play scary sounds using Bluetooth from your phone. All your friends will crap their pants in fear, and they'll respect you for being brave. If you're broke and your laptop overheats very fast, grab a fan and put it in the freezer for 15 minutes. Then turn it on facing your computer so it doesn't overheat further.
Would you rather to be afraid of the dark or your own reflection? I would rather be afraid of my own reflection because any light would create a shadow that would scare me. And besides, I would not rather see my ugly reflection. Would you rather have infinite wishes or a lot of good luck? I would rather have a lot of good luck, as I might accidentally destroy the world by making wishes. And if I have good luck, I'll always end up winning. Would you rather fight against the aliens or against the demons? I would rather fight the demons because the aliens will surely have weapons that would eliminate us in a few seconds. Would you rather be able to run super fast but only in circles, or be invisible but only when you close your eyes? To be honest, I'm not totally sure, but subscribe to Big Dan Baby.
If you're trapped in a sewer, most people would try to scream and call for help, but sewers are so deep underground that no one will be able to hear you. Instead, look for beams of light and follow them to the surface. If you see no light, try to figure out which way the current is flowing and go the complete opposite way. You'll reach much smaller tunnels where the waste is fresher and there are fewer toxic gases. Then use a piece of clothing to block a pipe from a house that connects to the sewer. This will cause a flood in their house, and they'll call a plumber so he can come and fix the pipe.
World War III has begun, and you are drafted into the army. Do this to survive. Get up early, make your bed, and learn to say yes sir loud and clear, so the sergeant won't hate you on the first day. Befriend the strongest person and share part of your ration. If you get hurt, he will be the first to help you mindlessly. Never miss one training. Being physically fit will save your life. Running will always be better than fighting. Now, learn to use your knife. Use it to cut ropes, open cans, and if necessary, cut off your own arm. Never listen to someone of your same rank. They will probably play a prank on you and everyone will bully you. If you have to go to war but are afraid, step on a rusty nail, your foot will get infected and they will cut it off. But at least you won't have to go to war. You're in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. Do this to survive. First, go to the nearest museum. Look for the medieval artifacts room and grab a suit of armor. It's nearly impossible for a zombie to bite through and penetrate armor. On the other hand, you'll think that firearms like pistols or machine guns are the best option for defending yourself, but you'll run out of ammo really quickly. And also, the noise will attract more zombies. The best weapon is actually a good pair of running shoes to outrun the zombies, or at least run faster than your companion. Finally, the two best zones for survival are a snowy mountain where the zombies freeze, or an island in the middle of the sea because zombies can't swim. Do this to make $120,000 per week. Go to a fancy restaurant at dinner time. When you arrive, start acting very rude and ask them to give you a table for 6 people right away. But since the place will be packed at dinner time, they'll tell you to wait half an hour. Meanwhile, spit on the floor, insult the waiter, and talk very loudly on the phone. Once you're seated, tell them you're not actually waiting for anyone and the table is just for you. But when the waitress explains the menu, interrupt her the whole time and only ask for a glass of water and the cheapest dish. The waitress will get so upset that she'll spit in your food. Now, you have to pull out a machine to analyze human DNA and look for traces of saliva and DNA in your food. Then, call your lawyer and sue them for $120,000. Repeat this every week and become a millionaire. In 2024, this guy posted a video about a blade that got stuck in his fish tank, but people noticed he had a white stripe on his nail, and they told him to go to the doctor ASAP because that could be skin cancer. The crazy thing is he is an X-ray tech, and that's the exact finger he uses to press the button that releases the radiation. So he went to the doctor to get some tests, and when the results came back, it was nothing. The parents of your gangster friend invite you to sleep over at their house. Do this so you don't look stupid. Give them a dap. Hide your watch and your phone before going in. Don't look at their dog in the eyes, and don't ask the parents what they do for work. If they ask you to play basketball, don't ask why there are shoes on the power line. They'll get really mad. On the other hand, if they ask, don't say where you live. They might think you are rich and they'll kidnap you. But you get confused because the house is on fire and your friend won't move. Remember, it's the parents' medicine plan, so don't bother them. Finally, don't try to close the windows after midnight. If a rival gang comes down the street firing shots, a stray bullet could fly in and take you out.
If you escape from prison and the police chase you with dogs, jump in a river and take off your clothes. The water will wash away your scent and the dogs won't be able to follow your trail. If you live in a country with a lot of earthquakes, never sleep next to a window. During earthquakes, windows often break and a shard of glass could cut you in half. If you're inside a sinking car, open the window to let water fill the car. This will equalize the pressure inside and outside of the car, and you'll be able to open the door without any problem. If you're lost in the woods and you eat poisonous berries, take 2 fingers on your hand and stick them deep down your throat. This will force your body to vomit and expel the poison. If you're at a very sad funeral, don't try to cheer people up by making a joke. You won't be funny and you'll only make the situation worse. If you're at the movies and the person behind you starts kicking your seat, don't start a fight in the middle of the movie. Instead, ask to switch seats with the one behind them and do the same to them. If you're going to walk your dog on a hot sunny day, touch the ground with your hand for 10 seconds. If your hand burns, your dog will also suffer burns throughout the whole walk. If you're going to scare your friend, never do it in a public place. You could scare the wrong person and get into trouble. If you find money in another country, can you keep it? In Japan, if you return lost money to the police, you're entitled to 10% of the money as a reward if the owner shows up. However, many people in Japan never accept the reward out of honesty. Instead, the owner of the money will often thank the finder with a house gift or a dessert. But in Germany, whoever finds the lost money is entitled to Finderlohn, a 5% reward on the first $500 found, and 3% on anything above that once the owner claims it. However, what if no one claims the money? In most countries, if the owner doesn't claim the money, the person who finds it gets to keep it. However, if neither the owner nor the finder claims it, countries like the United States have a law known as bona vacanter, which means the money is kept by the government, politicians, and the president.
The smartest kid in your class asks you for help because you did better in the last exam. Here's what you did. You explained to him that in the last exam, you tried your hardest to answer all the questions as quickly as possible. If you got completely stuck on a question, you randomly selected the answer and you wrote CG, complete guess. If you could only narrow down a question to 2 possible answers, you wrote EG, educated guess. After finally completing all the questions, you went back to the EGs and the CGs and subscribed to Big Dan Baby.
If you're at the gym and a stranger challenges you to a weightlifting competition, don't do it. They're filming a video for YouTube and you'll end up looking ridiculous. If you're sleeping in a hotel and hear strange noises, place a glass on the doorknob before going to bed. If someone tries to open the door, the glass will fall and you'll wake up instantly. If you're getting attacked by a great white shark, don't punch it in the nose. Your punch will be too weak. Instead, try pushing the shark's nose downward. If you're in a hot air balloon and it starts dropping too low, throw out as much weight as you can and aim for a safe landing spot.
If you're driving and it's raining a lot, never drive on the white lines on the road. The paint is more slippery than the cement, and you'll lose control of your car. If you go into a bathroom for disabled people without permission, but the police see you, drop to the floor and drool while you talk. They'll think you're disabled and they'll leave you alone. If you're being bullied at school, do not tell the teacher. Everyone will say you're a snitch, and they'll beat you up much harder. If you want to jump from a high place at the beach, don't jump in the water without checking the sea floor. There could be hidden rocks and you'll break your bones.
If you're at a party and your drink tastes a bit salty, don't drink it. It's very likely it's been laced with drugs. If someone's attacking you from behind, scratch them. You'll get a sample of their DNA under your nail. If you get kidnapped in a car and forced to drive, crash the car accidentally. It's very likely they're not wearing their seatbelt. If you come face to face with a lion, maintain eye contact and slowly walk backward. This is the difference between a celebrity prison and a regular prison. First, comfort. Celebrities or criminals with a lot of money get luxury cells with a private bathroom, plasma TV, and a gym. Once even, a famous celebrity had a solid gold bed. Most regular inmates usually have small cells that are dirty and shared with other prisoners. Second, the food. Famous inmates can choose meals from a professional chef, but a regular prisoner is usually served food with little nutrition, or even expired food like frozen sandwiches or rotten mashed potato. Finally, the entertainment. Celebrities get access to fun activities like yoga, roller skating, or even dance classes. Meanwhile, a regular prison only has a basketball court and a couple of broken weights. How to be the cool kid in class. First, never do your homework. Ask a classmate for their math homework in exchange for history homework, and do the opposite with a different classmate. That way, you'll always have your homework done. Wear designer clothes even if they're fake, put on trendy ripped jeans, and learn unusual skills to impress the girls, like a fire trick or a backflip. When the teacher explains something nobody understands, raise your hand and ask. That way, you'll help your shy classmates who are scared to ask. Lastly, in group projects, ask the dumbest classmates for favors in exchange for tricks to get girls. Everyone will think you're cool and you'll have slaves doing all the work for you. If you're in a building and about to use the elevator, don't get in if there are more than 8 people. The cables won't support the weight and you'll be crushed. If you get tied up and thrown into the sea, don't try to undo the knot with your teeth. You'll waste too much time and run out of air. First move your head to float, then untie yourself. If you're in a fire and there's smoke everywhere, cover your nose with a cloth and crawl on the ground. The clean air stays low and the toxic smoke rises. If you're on a plane that makes an emergency landing on water, don't inflate your life vest inside the plane. You could get stuck at the door and die while drowning. A child swallowed 31 magnets from a toy bracelet in 2016, which ended up getting stuck inside his stomach. If the magnets had connected, they could have damaged all his organs, causing severe harm and deadly infections. The doctors inserted a very thin tube with a camera through his mouth to reach the stomach, and they passed a powerful magnet through the tube to pull the metal balls out of the child's body, managing to save his life without any damage to his organs.
If you come across a lot of stray cats, do not give them food. They'll think you have infinite food and they'll follow you to your house to live with you. If your front door is open and has scratch marks on the lock, lock the door completely and call the police. A group of thieves is trapped inside your house. If your car won't start, ask a friend to push the car. If the wheels are moving, the engine will be able to start. If you're gross and don't clean your hair, cut it off now. Your hair has rotted and it's the perfect home for lice. If you're dying of hunger, look for trees with soft and moist leaves. If you suck on them, you'll gain energy, but they won't kill you.
If you're home alone and you choke while eating, slam your body against a piece of furniture to generate force in your stomach and push the food out. If you need to put a message inside a bottle, don't write near the edges of the paper. The water could smudge the ink and erase the whole message. If you're arguing with your mum and you're really angry, stop yelling and write down everything you're thinking on paper. This will help you control your emotions so you can keep arguing more calmly. If you're on a plane and it starts shaking violently, do not panic. Just stare at the flight attendant. If they are calm, it means there's no real danger. A snake can start eating its own tail if it mistakes it for a prey. This happens when it's in situations of extreme stress, causing intense confusion. In this state, its natural instinct to hunt and eat is so strong that it doesn't even realize that it's eating its own tail. If it manages to swallow too much of it, it can get stuck in its intestines and cause a blockage. This blockage can lead to irreversible damage and even death. How to find out the meaning of your dreams. If you dream that you're at your own funeral, it means you're sad and want to yourself. If you drown in a dream and wake up unable to breathe, it means you've lied too much and you're about to be found out. On the other hand, if you see an animal in a dream, it represents a friend or family member. For example, if you see a snake, it means you have a fake friend. If you see a fox, it means someone is cheating on you. Lastly, if you dream that you want to scream but can't open your mouth, it means no one is listening to you and you should find other friends. A statue of Jesus began to cry holy water from its feet in 2012, but since no one knew where the water was coming from, everyone believed it was a miracle. People started collecting the water and touching the blessed statue, but one man discovered that a bathroom pipe had burst, and the moisture buildup caused the water to seep through the wall. Angry about his discovery, the religious people accused him of being a liar, forcing him to flee the country. A hole in a rock is filled with seeds, while the baboon watches carefully, and just as the hunter walks away, the baboon reaches in and grabs the seeds. But once he closes his hands, his fist no longer fits through the hole, and even as the hunter approaches, he refuses to let go of the seeds, and is captured without trouble. Then, they make him eat pieces of salt so he gets very thirsty, and when they finally release him, he shows the hunter the way to his secret water source.
If you think a person is following you, do this to find out. First, make sure you're not being paranoid. If you're walking down the street and pass someone once, that's normal. If you enter a store and see them again, it's probably just a coincidence. But if you see them again in a completely different place, according to the Moscow rule, you're being followed. To be sure, turn 4 times to the right to make a full circle. If they're still behind you after looping around, it's not a coincidence, you're being followed. Now, here's what you need to do. Stay calm and act normal. Look for a crowded place, like a store or a restaurant. Then, alert the staff about the suspicious person and call the police to arrest the criminal.
If you fall into a silo filled with grain, you may immediately try to climb out, but that would be extremely difficult due to the shifting of the grain, which traps you like quicksand and makes it impossible to breathe. Instead, try to create an air pocket around your face by bringing your hands together. But if you're really stuck and start sinking, limit your movements to avoid sinking deeper. Call for help and stay calm. Wait for rescue while keeping an air bubble around your face until you hear help arrive.
If you're digging in your yard and you find oil, don't try to sell it to get rich. It actually belongs to the government, and if they find out, you could go to jail. If you go to the doctor and they tell you you only have 5 days to live, don't do illegal things or spend a lot of money all at once. When you die, your family will have to pay for everything you did. If you're at a party and someone fires a gun into the air to celebrate, leave as quickly as possible. Once it reaches a certain height, the bullet will fall and it could hit you and kill you. If you're in a parking lot and see a dog trapped alone inside a car, call the police immediately. The extreme heat inside the car acts like an oven and it could kill it.
If you're playing video games but your controller's batteries die, put them in the freezer for 20 minutes. The cold boosts 100% of the energy and you'll be able to keep playing. If World War III eventually starts, learn to say "I surrender" in Arabic, Chinese, and Russian. If the enemies capture you, they'll understand what you're saying before shooting you. If you're abducted by aliens, tighten your belt on your pants as much as you can. When they examine your body, they'll think your pants are a part of your skin and they won't do weird experiments on you. If you're kidnapped and they lock you in the trunk of a car, look for a plastic lever that's shiny. By law, all cars have a handle to open the trunk from the inside. A woman stepped into the street and began to dance like crazy. She danced for days without stopping, and other people started to join her. Over 50 people were possessed with the dancing fever. The dancers moved with such intensity that some actually collapsed from exhaustion. A few people even died from sudden heart attacks and severe strokes. The police were baffled, believing it was a curse or divine punishment. Now, they tried to cure the dancers by encouraging them to dance more, as they thought that it would expel the madness. But it only made the situation worse, and the dancers continued for a month before mysteriously they stopped dancing.